Life of a Dawn by Don Toliver. It is. Let's see if I pop it up here. If you have
16
it
songs,
before.
51 minutes long. And
Thank you,
Don
sir.
Toliver, no worries. It's like a co-hosting kind of measure. Don Toliver is part of the like Cactus Jack record label kind of folks.
Yep.
He kind of blew up with a couple of mixtapes. Donnie Womack in 2018, Heaven or Hell in 2020. Heaven or Hell, which I really liked. I think it did a really
I know
nice
you
mix
really
of.
like.
Yeah, it did a really
I
nice.
had some things I liked in it too, but
Yeah, it had a really nice mix of trap, like standard southern trap flares, like
Mhm.
from like that kind of style with some neo pop R&B kind of aspects as well, with Don Toliver kind of doing like a
Just
his croonish style of voice, but it's also a very like synthetic auto-tune kind of thing that can get a little bit tired after a while. I think it was a good balance on Heaven or Hell, and on Life of a Dawn it just got really really overboard.
yeah. I didn't mind the production of Life of a Dawn. I thought the production was a little bit better actually than Heaven or Hell. My issue was he took the good parts of Heaven or Hell's like neo pop, like trap and B parts, and just literally did that for an entire album. So it got just a little bit drawn out with how it played. It played really slow throughout it, and it felt very, very long. You have features. You have two Travis Scott features, which actually the first one with Flocky Flocky, I thought was the first Travis Scott feature I've heard in a while that I actually enjoyed. I mean, I still think his ad libs are terrible. Like there's the same ad libs that he does every time, but he actually used his voice without auto tuning it or making like really shitty for the first time in a while. The Kali Ukis
But can we pause on
feature
that, because
was
I was just
fine.
I was begging last week for us to disagree on an album, and I think this is one where like we're gonna come to a same opinion, but we disagree on things very differently. So like I thought I think Do Rag Activity with Travis Scott was like one of his better features more recently. Both of these on here were really kind of really washed out. I mean, Drag Activity with Baby Keem and Travis Scott. Baby Keem's also later on this album. I do like that
Yeah,
Baby Keem song on
I,
here,
I really
but
like. By the way, Baby Kim is really growing on me. Holy shit.
very much
Yeah,
so. More on that
very much
later.
so.
But yeah,
Yes.
Travis Scott in here, he just sounds very washed out and overdone. And I'm really just sort of like annoyed with it. On the production of this entire album too, this it feels like I agree with you on that. It is too much of what was working for Don Toliver on Heaven or Hell and just like
Mhm.
continues to it and it drones on. Like this album at 51 minutes, I would consider it to be like on the short, medium end for a rap album. It's perfectly fine size, but it feels like it drags on way longer than
It
it should
feels
because
super long.
it lacks that variation until, and Don Toliver's a great producer, but it lacks that variation until he brings on a number of other producers who aren't afraid to bring their own style and not just compliment Don's.
And and that happens at Song, like example, the Metro Boomin track at Song 11, Company Part 2. That's so far down the album. And so I'm already like, okay, is this like the last track? Is this the second last track? I'm like, no, I still got five more tracks after this one. And even with the Metro song, like I liked it for the most part, but it still wasn't the flow of Don Toliver. It was still too slow for me to really pick it up. Like Metro can bring his production as much as he can, and it obviously is it's top notch still. But like the lyricism, the vocals, everything is just it's not enough to really keep bringing that album, like dragging it through the latter halves of it. Because I like the start with Escape and 5X, and I was listening to him like, okay, this might be good mix. These are the good parts of Heaven or Hell. Maybe he'll have his like more harder stuff, whatnot, mixed in throughout the album, but he really didn't. It was just flat throughout the whole thing. But I thought, honestly, I thought the Travis Scott features were okay because he didn't do the voice parts that really annoy me. I mean, other than the normal Travis Scott ad libs, which are just so droned out now, like he needs to change those up. Even like 21 could sometimes be could do that too, and that's one of my things. One of my very few complaints about 21. But with the vocals, I thought it was fine. But like you have these chunks and splits between the features, which just take forever to get to in between. Like between Flocky Flocky and Drugs and Hella Melodies, you have three tracks in between, and it feels like it's like six in between. It takes a
Yeah.
long time to get between those features, and the same thing between Drugs and Hella Melodies to Outer Space, Kaliukas and Baby Keem respectively. It takes a long time to get to those, and you have like those three tracks towards the end, Outer Space, Smoke, and You. With all of those are have features, and they're pretty decent. But again, they're still a bit too slow to really pick up the album.
Yeah, and that first block of features between Flocky Flocky and Drugs and Hell Melodies, even with song 7, Swang on Westheimer, you get Metro Boomin's kind of like thick beats in that and production in that as
Yep,
well, but it just like, it's a little bit of a saving grace, but not quite. Even
it's
Drugs and
just
Hell Go on?
I said it's not enough. Like
Yeah.
Metro can do one thing in production, like, but at the end of the day, he's still listening to Don Toliver what he wants. He's going to create whatever is in the vision of Don Toliver. And
Yeah.
with that, it's like you're handcuffing him in a regard to where if you let him loose, you can like really save an album. Example, like yeah, if you have Swing on Westheimer, if you make that track like a really good Metro track, you could have a really good pick me up, and then have it drop down with Drugs and Hella Melodies, and then have another pickup like that. So then you could really speed up the album, make it put some variables in there instead of just keeping it trap and B
That
throughout
that
the whole
definitely
record.
could have happened. Like, that definitely could have happened because Drugs and Hella
Yeah,
Melodies, I feel like, kind of fell flat as well with Caliuchis, and, like, you've got a great talent there, it didn't feel great. I kind of thought that, like,
exactly.
2
And I
but really, we're kind of,
yeah,
like, getting a long time in here, I kinda wanna speed up through this. 2 AM is,
yeah,
like, it's 2 AM I kind of thought was, like, an okay thing, you're getting the best of, like, Don Toliver trying to push things forward, but, again, it feels like a kind of a mix of the album isn't quite ordered right, and then the songs don't deliver that well either. Because then what you get to, like, Get Throwed Company Part 2, and they're not, like, quite they it's like 2 songs feel like 4 again.
yep, exactly. And that's my whole thing of the album, because at first I was enjoying it because I really liked the production, and then I was sitting there like, oh, okay, maybe I'm close to be finished with the album. I look, I go, holy crap, I'm only halfway
Like,
done.
yeah, song
But
8 or song
why
9.
is it? I'm like, okay, maybe it picks up, and it never does. It just stays at one level, which is a big complaint.
Yeah. Well, I will say Baby Keem and, like, the songs he's producing have a sound. It tends to happen with, like, certain rap artists where, like, Lil Uzi Vert releases an album with a sound. Now every song Lil Uzi Vert is on, even featuring other artists, sounds like it came off of Lil Uzi Vert's album. That's kind of happening with Baby Keem. Nevertheless, I think Outer Space with Don Toliver and Baby Keem, they're a good sound fit match for each other, if that makes sense. So
Yeah,
I'm
I think so for sure. I like because Baby Keem does a thing where he likes to put two songs in one, which I like in a way when he does big features with people. I like because you can change up the flow and stuff and make it a little bit different. You don't need to. I mean, granted, he didn't do that on every track on his LP, that was released about a month ago. Both Outer Space, that was one of the only tracks that I really, really liked on the album, because it was kind of cool where you had that first part, you have like this beat in the background. It's like a really high pitched electronic keyboard that actually sounds a lot like a Tori Moss song. I just can't think of it off the top of my head. But I thought like that part was kind of cool with the flow and how they did it. And then like in the middle of the song, it breaks up and then changes flows.
yeah.
But then, like, even then, like, it changes slower, and then it picks up towards the end of it a little bit, which I like. I think it's something that with trap is something that's different. Not too many people are doing it, and I think it's something that Baby Keem is has now really shown that he can do pretty well.
I mean, now that we're talking on the Cactus Jack record, Travis Scott did this and really brought it a lot with Astro World, doing that in a lot of songs, not just with Sicko Mode, but with a couple of others. And
Yeah,
I think it's
Highest in
fu-
the Room too, and a
yeah,
couple
yeah.
others.
It's only my take on it is it's starting to get played out in trap music right now. Not necessarily by Baby Keem, but also if Baby Keem continues doing this like on 2 more songs, I'm gonna
I
call it out
hope
as
not.
very gimmicky.
100%.
Because like you can't just the thing that happens in traps, you just like smash 2 songs together, right? And sometimes it can work. Sometimes you can just like draw out the beats a little bit because again, the beats are very repetitive and construction is not very difficult to do anyways. But in alternative music when or like classical music when you have 2 songs that go together, there's measures, there's like a part in the middle where it actually kind of like you get the reason why you put them together. In
Hmm.
Empire Ants by Gorillas, there's a reason why the beginning is soft and then end is kind of hard, and there's like a transition in the middle that makes
Hmm.
it make sense. It's not just like 2 songs slammed together. So that should be watched out for. But there's good ideas here, there's good talent here, but it's just misapplied in a lot of areas.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, it's really good, but like it's unlike Heaven or Hell, like last year, where there are like so many different like I mean, 2020 was also a year and a vibe, so give it what it was. But Heaven or Hell hit me in waves where like there are some songs I really liked before it came out, and there are some songs I really liked while it was coming out, like the month it actually dropped. And there are some songs I revisited afterwards. And like that's very rare for me to do for like a trap album to come back to it constantly. And it's not to say like it's not really because of like Don Toliver's rapping being particularly good or like
Yeah.
quality. It's just it's catchy production, it's quality sort of hooks and things like that that made Heaven or Hell a really solid project. I don't think Life of a Dawn is going to be the same way for me, and it's nice to have that kind of
Mm-mm.
attempt there. It's not terrible. It's just like a lot of experiments. I don't like many of these experiments, but on Audioface, we're fine with the experimentation. We'll at least give you that. We'll call you out for that. We'll just definitely say try some different directions and continue experimenting and refining those experiments with future projects. But I think Don Toliver definitely can.
Yep. Yep. Agreed.
Yes.
Arbitrary scale this week is the Pitchfork re-reviews because we went on a pretty big rant tangent on that. So pick a review, and that is our arbitrary scale. Take it for what it is. It's arbitrary. Nobody gives a fuck because we don't.
This is arbitrary scale on arbitrary scale. This is really hot
Eight
members
dimensional
content
chess,
action.
baby.
Yeah. Um I'm gonna
This
give
is
go on.
so this is Prince musicology from '04. This is a 5.8 to a 7.8. Just it's super random to revisit like musicology of all Prince's records. It's super random to do,
I,
but okay.
I'm gonna give this Hood Dreams by Knowledge. Uh
Okay.
Also very random, upgraded from a 7.2 to an 8.4. It's also doing a lot of like R&B, hip hop kind of things, but I don't it's definitely not like the same in quality. Obviously, it's just,
Yeah,
arbitrary scale because what we said in the review was what we said in the review. And what needs to
exactly.
be said on that?